Namaste everyone. We'll start today's session with Commandment 3, commentary on Commandment 3 by Pujya Babuji Maharaj. Fix your goal, which should be complete oneness with God. Rest not till the ideal is achieved. It is very essential for everyone to fix his thought at the very outset upon the goal which he has to attain, so that his thought and will may pave his way up to it. It has been observed that those on the path of spirituality who did not fix that final state for their goal have definitely remained short of the mark, because before arriving at the final point, they mistook one or the other of the intermediate states to be the final point or the reality, and stopped there. Thus, they suffered merely for not having fixed their goal. Even in worldly matters, so long as a person does not keep his object in view, his efforts are never so intensified as to ensure success. It is an admitted fact that a boat cannot ply direct to the destination unless the helm is applied to it. Treating this human form as a boat and the space it is plying in as the ocean of spirituality, it is but essential to put up the helm in order to be able to ply through the storming ocean successfully. In the spiritual field, the helm is our strong willpower, which helps us to steer on to the destination. There may certainly be countless worlds at places, but the strength of our will and confidence helps us to overcome all of them and proceed on straight to the destination. Now, since our eye is fixed upon spirituality, we take up the ideal which is the highest and which can be nothing but that associated directly with the Absolute. Thus, to reach the infinite Absolute is one of the primary duties of man. But so long as the goal is not fixed in one's thought, it is very difficult to complete the journey successfully. Divine help does come, no doubt, but only when the Supreme is convinced of devotees' earnestness of purpose. When the reaction creates a stir in the infinite, it indicates that he has concentrated his thought in the great being. This brings to our view the example of the lover and the beloved. It means that the distance between the devotee and the Lord is reduced, and the idea of remoteness begins to fade away. Our nearness goes on increasing up to the final limit where the feeling, where the very feeling of aloofness, having merged in the reality, becomes completely extinct and assumes the form of the latent motion that exists at the time of pralaya individual. In this way, our merging in the state becomes permanent and lasting. Our swimming in the infinite ocean now starts, which brings us to the real life, which comprises the influences of the ocean we are now swimming in. Now, the silent motion which we have created in it started merging into it. In it, we start expanding. In this way, our layavastha in it becomes durable and lasting. It is thus clear that the firmness of will and determination to reach the holy entity helped us to arrive at the destination, with the result that we got firmly established in the final state. How this most difficult problem was so easily solved by virtue of the correctness of our goal and the firmness of determination may not now be difficult to understand. Our intention to reach the goal promoted our efforts, and since the ideal was the noblest, the interest for it went on increasing till it developed into a strong craving. Then we began to feel impatient for it. When we get into this habit, the tendencies of the mind are diverted towards it with full vigor. Thus, we come to the conclusion that for the attainment of the objective, we have to create in us intense longing and extreme impatience, which forces our passage onto it, just as the latent motion did at the time of creation.
डॉक्टर केसीवी का भी commentary पढ़ेंगे.
हाँ,
So this is the commandment commentary written by Dr. KCV. One should fix one's goal as the complete oneness with God, and one should not rest till that oneness is achieved. As already pointed out, it is necessary to know one's goal, and that is God. But oneness with the goal is not merely knowledge or even a vision of God, but oneness with Him. Shri Krishna says that one should know, see, and enter into Him. Master similarly speaks of the three stages of our process as Sarupyata, Saijyata, and Laya at each knot. In a similar way, one first knows and sees and enters into the ultimate. Usually men see first and then know and hardly enter into the ultimate, since they think that knowing the ultimate is the goal. Therefore, if one wishes to attain the highest stage in yoga or union, then it is necessary to seek oneness with it. Our will must therefore never be for lesser levels of existence, but the highest. For this, an unwavering faith is necessary. Earnestness is necessary. And such an earnestness is something that requires once seeking the infinite being within oneself and get absorbed in Him. It is, of course, difficult to get staunch determination, but it is nonetheless necessary. And God Himself, in several subtle ways, helps even in the formation of such a determination and faith. However, the soul, knowing its weaknesses at first, should dedicate all its being to God and accept all as the gift of God. And this leads to development of faith in a subtle manner. As Sri Krishna has stated, if one but surrenders to Him, that is, chooses Him as his goal and all, he very soon begins to change and attain the stage of inward determination and becomes a good man. Chipram bhavati dharmatma. The power and primal force begins to flow steadily into oneself and helps the ascent to it. As already stated, God is not only the goal, but also the means to Himself. And indeed, no one can be the means and the instrument of our ascent other than God alone. One should thus develop constant remembrance and longing for God. Ananya Chinta Yanotman Ye Jana Paryupassate Tesham Nitya Viyuktam Yoga Kshemam Vaham Yaha, which alone lead to the constant watchfulness of God. Thus, one must fix one's goal as the ultimate and constantly strive towards the attainment of oneness with it. इधर एक सेंटेंस है, knowing the soul, knowing its weakness, and at first should dedicate all being to God and accept all as, and this leads to development of faith in a subtle manner. I was reading one of the articles written by S.P. Srivastava. He is also one of the early disciples of Babuji who was realized. He gives very interesting example. He says, suppose you have a very good Parker pen, whatever good pen which you're using, and you're very attached to it. But then you gift that pen to your close friend. And that close friend in turn, what happens? He says, okay, you're given the gift to me, but temporarily you keep it back with you. I will take it later on when I require it. He gives it back to you for your use actually. But since you're gifted the pen already, even though the friend has given it to you for use, there is a subtle change in the attitude towards that pen once you've gifted it to somebody else. So when we make a sankalpa that this body of mine, I mean the manasu, the attention faculty or the coordinating faculty, intellect, buddhi, ahankar, chitta, I mean the subconscious with all the impressions, the sense organs, motor organs, and then your associated things like your property, everything, your friends, your political ideology, your likes, dislikes, your attachments, prejudices, whatever you have, you just make a gift to the master. There will be a subtle change in your attitude towards your own body. You no more consider your body as your own. And then slowly this kind of a firmness and determination will come because God's help will be coming now. So that's a beautiful idea is written. So in continuation with this, I'll read another small letter written by Babuji to one of the Abhyasis, just 1.5 page. Yeah. I'm going to read this article. It's again concerned with third commandment, fix up your goal. So I'll be reading freely and then talking just to consolidate our ideas of Babuji in our minds. During the holidays when we met, I would at times observe myself and at other times observe your dear self. This evaluation went on to the extent that I could not speak to your good self. The weight of a thing is known when it is placed in the balance, but is only considered to be real when the divine seal is affixed upon it. So, brother, assure yourself and affix the seal that you may acquire the knowledge of a different weight. The meaning of weight is hard work and practice, and the seal is the thought of the trainer. Only when all these things are right does the parable of Kabir Sahib stand true. Kaddu bhude sil utraya, olati ka pani baderi jaye. Can you make any sense, Atul? Where a pumpkin sinks in the water and a slab of stone floats, the water on the roof flows from below upwards. It's a Ulatvasi. So there'll be the secret meaning behind it. Only realized persons can understand it because the words.
It's very cryptic.
Anyway, I have put it on the net. There is one Kamlesh Upadhyay. The several YouTube where he explains it beautifully. So many of Ulatvasis, but this I didn't find anywhere. So I put there for somebody's explanation. Let us see. So we'll go to the next page here. A wrestler exercises and as a result his body becomes strong and powerful, whereas a laborer and a woodcutter also toil the whole day without their bodies becoming like that of a wrestler. The obvious reason is that the thought of the wrestler is on gaining strength and power, whereas that of a laborer and woodcutter is only on earning a few pennies. Therefore, the wrestler gains strength while the laborer and woodcutter reap their few pennies. Now, his next sentence, he is trying to be very critical of the efforts of abhyasis who do it as a ritual. So, let's listen very carefully because these are all practical hints he's throwing at us, so we have to catch it. So, he says, correspondingly, in our spiritual practice, the goal should ever be kept in view. That means it should be always kept in view, for which hard work is absolutely essential. I'll repeat again. Correspondingly, in our spiritual practice, the goal should ever be kept in view, for which hard work is absolutely essential. However, feeling and the involvement of the heart are likewise essential. He's putting hard work is essential. The goal should be kept in view is essential. Third factor is throwing in is feeling and involvement of the heart are likewise essential. So many factors he's telling. If hard work is undertaken as forced labor, there will be no benefit. Deep meditation occurs when after developing love, you fix your thought on the goal with total attachment. It is not necessary to remember the goal repeatedly during meditation, but only to develop restlessness, craving, and enthusiasm in the heart for its attainment. Without this, our practice is not even hard labor, but merely unpaid work. He says you're working, but you're not even paid for the work you're doing. If you do not have the enthusiasm or the, like what Dr. KCV said, earnestness should be there, surrender should be there. Begin your puja with a prayer for spiritual elevation, the heart overflowing with love and devotion. That feeling agar dil mein nahi hai, dil means, I mean, the word when you use mind includes thought and feeling. It's all one holistic thing actually. So always feeling and thought are two sides of the same coin actually. So unless your whole being is involved, as described in the second commandment, meditation, it's an unpaid labor only. I mean, you're working, but you don't get even paid for the work you're doing. In the next sentence, we can construct a house, but if the bricks are laid in a haphazard manner, what is the use? Really, we have to construct that house and dismantle this house. Now, very interesting thing is coming, which we have to put in practice actually. What I mean by dismantling this house is that this house, namely the body, should not be considered as one's own. I'll repeat again because this is important attitude. We can meditate on this. We can contemplate on this thought of the master. And you can contemplate the whole day or till you feel that you assimilated this idea. This idea occupies the whole of your subconscious mind. You keep on contemplating as long as possible, since till it occupies your whole subconscious mind actually. So I'm reading again. What I mean by dismantling this house is that this house, namely the body, should not be considered as one's own. Know that house to be yours, where you must live eternally. You may live in this house for 100 years at the most, but in that house there is no estimation of time. That alone is the house where eternal life can be understood. You may consider this house as yours, but for how long can it be so? At last it will come to an end. Afterwards you'll obtain another house like it and will be thinking of its construction and decoration. This cycle will continue. Now tell me, is a house yours if it is repeatedly exchanged? Of course not. And you must also pay its rent and maintain it. The meaning of rent is that one develops such attachment with the body that time and energy are consumed. Really, we construct such houses, yet they are not ours. So, brother, it would be a great mistake if you're inclined towards it and do not take interest in constructing that house which requires no maintenance and where there is no consequence of developing attachment with others. I draw your attention towards this and understand my real motive. I do not wish time to be wasted. That is why I have thus written. It is a fact that wisdom develops with self-introspection. Abhi, just he said, no, you should not consider uh, this body to be your own. वो उसको self-introspection करना चाहिए. So you should have a lot of time to introspect. And without introspection, we are using thought only to reach, to make the thought refined so that the thought merges in yoga, merges in the origin or the kshob from where the thought itself arises. So unless you introspect, it will be mechanical practice actually. कुछ फायदा ही नहीं होता. It is a fact that wisdom develops with self-introspection. But who has time for this? Those who develop the interest will find the time. What I wish is that whatever little I know, I may impart to all during my lifetime, so that they may keep on advancing. But except for one or two, no one appears to be coming forward with courage. Such a simple thing is told in such a simple way. But even then, it is generally the case that people do not prepare themselves to that extent. Until now, those capable of making such progress are indeed very rare. I mean, probably is written out of, I think it's dependent on all of us to prove him wrong, he says. Until now are indeed very rare. He says, people are not accepting my advice. So when his birthday is approaching, at least we should make a resolve that it's not really so. We'll work hard and try to take his advice and live up to his aspiration actually. His aspiration is that we should be liberated, we should be enjoying the company of God, we should live in bliss. That's the idea. Anyway, any questions on that?
This Kabir Doha, I was just when we were reading it, I think it's probably something which is very intuitive to our perceptions.
No. It is you read, you go to YouTube, see Ulat Vasi, there's one Kamlesh Upadhyay karke hai. You will not make head or tail out of those Ulat Vasiyan unless he explains them. You can now just put it on YouTube mein laga ke dekho. Because you're in UP, because you'll understand that language, probably your father would have helped us understand. But I tried, I struggled, I couldn't make head or tail out of it.
Both these lines are very contrary to what the normal perception.
Abhi's idea is to make you think, it is only understood by realized people. Ordinary people can never understand.
Very true, very true.
Atul, you can do some homework and help us.
Sure, I'll talk to some people over here.
Anyway, any questions on this? The take home of this reading session is it's a hard work in the sense like suppose you're all sitting, I can watch you. If I perceive Atul and Prasad and Dharmesh, perception, but to maintain the perception that Babuji's consciousness is present in me, it is same consciousness is spreading, and it is the reality underlying your physical and mental, the base of your mind, intellect and body is the same thing. To maintain that idea without slipping it till it becomes, till Layavastha happens in that kind of a thought. To maintain that thought is the hard work which you have to do. I mean, even if you're meeting your neighbors or office people. If you perceive them that they're different from you, or the whole problem of living is duality, no, subject-object duality. Actually, there's only one reality, which is God is present everywhere. So senses should get summarized, then you'll feel yourself in all animate and inanimate objects. So to maintain that thought, it requires a hard work. Upon meditation, we are absorbed in God. Rest of the time, we are strengthening a perception which is not in tune with reality. We think that world पूरा खुशी है वर्ल्ड में, ये earning name, property, name and fame. करके we neglecting the God is sitting inside us. We don't give any importance to him. घर में guest है बैठा हुआ है, then you search for the guest in the market, तो क्या फायदा? बिल्कुल it's all not the truth. No? तो उसमें हार्ड वर्क है. I mean, retaining that idea of Babuji till the mind is trained enough, till when it becomes pure enough, then the ego is dissolved, and then it is gone. Then the pure mind remains, which becomes an instrument of God. There is no difference between your will and God's will. उसके लिए hard work is required with feeling, with involvement of love and devotion. Love will only happen like you love your son, you love your father and mother. Why? Because you feel very closely attached with them. You feel they're one of your own blood and kith and kin. So unless you have a similar feeling about Babuji Maharaj, then you will not have love also. The way you love your wife and children, you have that experience. Do you have the same feeling with your guru or not? You got to put that question. It can be generated. And he has given examples. No, he says at bedtime, try to pray as if a person with a deeply afflicted heart is laying down his miseries and imploring God's mercy with tearful eyes. Even if you don't have tears, try to artificially bring it, then it becomes real after some time. He's giving you all sorts of techniques to develop a link with God. So, करना पड़ेगा सब. उसमें हार्ड वर्क है. Pure किताब पढ़ो, just practicing meditation like a ritual करे तो फिर वो, he says, you don't even get paid for the labor, he says. Anyway, we'll meet in Babuji's birthday. Till that time, at least try to contemplate, do self-introspection, thinking that this body is not yours. Or at least let it sink into the unconscious thing. You'll have some freedom at least.